Hi all, it is Jonathan Smith here, and I'm just going to go over a few things. I know there are not a lot of people that watch my videos at all, but I've been following this for since the beginning of February, and one day I hope that I can look back and other people can look back and maybe see that there were a lot of warnings about what was going to happen from people, and I'm one of them, one of the people that are trying to get information out. It's hard. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not sure how to get my videos out for awareness and stuff like that, and I'm hoping that maybe there is a way to do that, because I do believe it's going to be very important. And anyway, I'm just going to go over the latest news here, the news developments and my opinions on them. So, starting off 22 minutes ago, there are no plans to shut down subway streets in New York City, police say. Well, this part is concerning because I feel that there needs to be a plan for everything right now. That is a hotspot area which will spread disease very fast. So there needs to at least be a plan in place. They don't need to execute the plan right now, but there needs to be a plan just in case shit hits the fan. And it will hit the fan. I'm going to go over a few reasons why it will soon. In another video, not this video, but I have been following Italy, for example, and the R naught of each country have infections of between one person causing infection between multiple people, and I have a basic prediction of how this could turn out in places like Italy in the next 20 days or so. And it's going to be, I hope it will be a bit of a shocker to some people to realize how bad this is going to get. Might not look like huge numbers right now, but trust me, it's going to go up a lot quickly. Well, a lot more, quicker than it was before. So Maryland will close all schools for 2 weeks. Yeah, it's good they're closing it, but 2 weeks, what? Schools will remain closed until the March 27th, and makeup days, yeah, I think each school has its amount of makeup days it has for emergencies at its disposal that they use. So I'm just going to ignore that. Don't really care about that right now. Students will continue to receive food through programs. Good thing. The Maryland Department of Education is also working to give childcare options to residents who must continue to work, such as healthcare providers, Salmon said. Yeah, well, see, the problem is people don't know when this is going to end. You know, you can't predict when it's going to peak and when it's going to end. All you can predict is the potential numbers that it will hit when it peaks, or potentially, you know, just not the time frame. No one can really know that. So the problem with this is, and I've been saying this for a while now, for weeks to everybody, that there is no point in closing schools down for a few weeks in the early stages of a pandemic. There is no point. I'm not saying that don't close them down, but there's no point in closing them for a few days. So, yeah, nobody knows when this is going to peak. It could peak in a week, it could peak in a month, it could peak in 3-4 months. And you're going to open up the schools back up and let kids infect themselves, infect everybody else, because apparently, you know, magically that this is supposed to blow over in a couple of weeks. What is wrong with people? The school system, the education system is so hell-bent on keeping their schools open in the United States. Why? Other countries that are known to have a better education system. Now, I'm sorry, Americans. I mean, I am what I would call an adopted American. I am an American citizen. But the education system here isn't worthy of killing people over. Shut it down until this blows over. If it takes 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Now that leads us to this thing here. Because they've said 2 weeks, parents aren't going to have any idea. They're going to they're going to sort out childcare options for 2 weeks, thinking that the kids are going to all be back at school. And if this thing starts to explode in the next 2 weeks, then I guarantee that then the extension of school shutdown will be extended. And then parents will be left fumbling trying to figure out how to get more childcare options, and it will be a mess and a nightmare. It's playing with people and making people not know what to expect in any sort of way. They should just shut down schools until the pandemic is over, so that I know parents won't like it, but at least the states will be able to provide service for people being able to get childcare until this blows over, instead of So there is a new update. I'm just going to read this. Seattle Symphony live streamed recordings of performance. Yeah, most of the things are being streamed on TV and stuff like that, which is good. Just no more crowds, please. Maryland governor activates National Guard in response to coronavirus. So, banning gatherings for more than 250 people is, what's the point? Doesn't take much, and I'm just gonna show you why it doesn't take much right now. So we start off with one person, and then we times 3. They spread it to 3 people. That 3 people spread it to 9 people. 9 people spread it to 27, and it keeps going up, right? But then the number gets shocking when we have an example about this. In the last 10 days, there has been 50,000 cases outside of China, as an example. This is this is actually a 7-day period, because 7 days is between the most likely period between one person infecting 3 people within 7 days. So it's going to jump from 50 to 150 in 7 days. And then in 14 days, 450,000 people. 21 days, 1,350,000 people. So let's say 42 days. Really? This is the potential of how it could spread if it hits the correct infection rate of R0 and 3 people in a 7-day period. This is what we are trying to warn people about. That it starts off slow, and within a month or 2 the number absolutely flies up. Don't take this for granted. You don't want any events of more than 250 people, because that's just going to spread it even more. But we are looking at a catastrophe happening in our Catholic churches across Rome closing. Good thing. Italy's already shutting itself down, so is the UK heading that way. The NBA player who tested positive, and there was for the Jazz, the Utah Jazz. 3 people are infected from that team now, I believe. The sports are just well, this is news. I was drumming on about that for about 3 weeks now. I was going on about it, saying that they need to shut this crap down. Now they were shutting it down in other parts of the world, but I hope this is the ones in Florida, California, good, and until it's okay. I don't. Maybe I'm missing it. No, until, so they're just shutting it down. That's good. No time frame, which is good. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen because there were reports coming from staff that were absolutely terrified in the resort, the Disneyland resort. They were terrified of catching coronavirus because of the mass amounts of people. So I'm glad that happened. It's finally time that happened. So Lindsey Graham self-quarantines. A lot of members are quarantining themselves. A lot are uncomfortable, including Trump himself, with scared about the catching the coronavirus because it seems to be it's spreading a lot through the higher ups. And I'm not saying that I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying anything like that, but it seems to have a remarkable impact on those sorts of places because they're still gathering in groups, shaking hands and ridiculous stuff like that. Mike Pence still shaking hands and say, "Oh, come on, dude, stop." So stocks plummet. We know the stocks are effed. State of emergency from New York City about time. Spring break is over. Yeah, spring break. Summer's over. It's not just spring break. Summer is going to be over. Yeah, Trump is concerned about him being infected from this, obviously, because he was near some people. Airlines shutting down, Greece shutting down its stuff, and a bunch of new reported cases today, which we're going over, but it's still underreported because there still is only a minor amount of testing done in the US still. So I'm just going to refresh that and take a look. See, 302 today, reported cases in the United States. I wouldn't say this is contained like some of the government agencies are claiming that it is contained, or our government is. It's not contained, you can't contain it. Yeah, some important things now. I was just going to go over Italy real quick. Now, Italy has 15,000 cases in there. And Italy started, let's say it started going up significantly. The jump was on March the 1st. So it was a jump of over 50% starting on March the 1st. So I consider the beginning of this thing blowing up. Okay, so let's look at it. March the 1st, we are March the 12th. So if it takes 14 days, right? Let's say 14 days. 7 days starting off between what happened. So on March the 7th, there was 1,247 cases. So let's go ahead and let's just let's see what happens. So where's March the 1st? Okay, so there was 573 cases, and in 7 days, if it spread into 3 people, is 1,719. Now in that 7-day period, on the 7th, it was 1,247. So it's less than that. Okay. So we are gonna take that number, 1247, and then let's see what would happen on the 14th. Whoa, where are we? Okay, 3,741. Okay, so quite literally, it's spreading faster. So if we take our number now, of 15,113, and we see what the potential could be in a week. It could be 45,000 in Italy, but by the growth it seems to be more than that. So I'm starting to think that the R naught in Italy is higher than 3. I'm starting to think that it might be 4. So I'm thinking that next week Italy might have 60,000 cases. Now, we know worldwide that it's taken 10 days for this, but let's just be modest and say it's taken 7 days for 35,000 people worldwide. And let's see, in the next 7 days, 105,000 people. Now, when you look at China, it took well over a month to reach that. Less than that. The world is going to be in trouble. And, yeah, it's going to get really bad. And I've been saying this for a while. It's going to get bad. You think one day that there's 35,000 people in a week, and then within a month you find out there's 1 million people, and then within a month after that, by the end of April, there will be millions of people. Because if there's 1 million people and it continues to grow and peak at the current, well, it doesn't peak, and it just continues to grow for another month and still doesn't peak, then let's see what we have. We have 1 million people. "14 days. 21 days. A month." Is this getting through to anybody yet? If this virus is not delayed and slowed down and mitigated, that is what we are looking at by the current growth rate that is going on in the world. 81 million people by the end of April. Now, let's say the case fatality rate is 3.6. It's going to be lower than that. Oh no, 3 million people have died. Okay? You know, it's like, yeah, let's open the schools up for April and all the unis, and let's open it all back up, you know, let's do all that, shall we? Open everything back up. People better think and hope that this thing peaks in the next few weeks, because if it decides to go on longer and it still spreads like it's doing with an infection rate of R03, then the world is in trouble. I don't know why they're putting time frames on this stuff. Stop it. Yeah, I'm done for today. All I gotta say is the growth in Italy. March 10th. at March the deaths are increasing. And let's go back up here in the cases. Now it's underreported. Now this 2300 was actually part of the report from March the 10th. So this number is more like 1,800 or so, or 1,700, to about probably about this range. And then today, Italy reported this number. China's doing pretty well, but I don't know what they're going to do when they start opening back up the quarantines, and then might get a bunch of backflow cases as well that might end up spreading. But you know, I don't know. Concerning about Germany and France and Spain, Germany and Spain are becoming a problem, potentially being the next Italy. Iran is full of shit. From some of the sources coming out of Iran, I don't know how this number is accurate, because there are several sources, reports and sources on websites from Iran. They're reporting that there was 100 deaths in one district yesterday. So there's no way this number is correct, and there's no way this number is correct. There's no way this number is correct. This is probably 100,000. There's probably 10 to 20,000 new cases every day now, and this is probably in the tens of thousands. Well, not tens of, well, maybe thousands, 5,000 or so. Less than that. Still, that number, this number is 4%. I mean, UK has less cases, and they're doing more than some countries are doing. Not really getting much information from the Netherlands, and there was one case today in Guyana, which is in South America, I think. That one person is dead, so they might be in the clear. So far today. Yesterday was 7,000 something. Now these numbers grow. This is daily, okay? So if it's growing at 1,000, so doubling times 2 doubling within the end of 7 days, most likely. You know, those are just cases that are reported. Alright, so yeah, here we go. Look, here's some news here. Coronavirus outbreak could easily be a 6-month crisis. Yeah, I mean, across the whole country, not just in New York, right? Trying to warn people for weeks that this is going to drag on for a long time, and nobody is seeming to compute it in their heads. They're thinking that this is going to be like something that we beat and we control in a month. It's just not the case. This isn't going to just go within a month. So yeah, you could consider me a fearmonger, in a way. This thing terrifies me. I'm not terrified of much, but this thing really does terrify me. I have a daughter, a young daughter, and I have a family, and my wife has underlying conditions. She is really vulnerable. So if she gets sick, she has a big chance of dying, and I don't want to lose any of my family to this. Um, my wife has 3 or 4 conditions, underlying conditions going on right now. Okay? If she gets sick, I think she maybe has a 60% chance of dying. Okay? She's not young. She's 40, but she's not young. I believe that accompanied with all the conditions and her health in general, plus her age, she's probably classed as a 90-year-old, that's, I don't think she'll live if she gets it. And I am terrified for that because I don't want my child to lose her mum. I have some underlying conditions. I'm worried that I have at least a 10% chance of dying, and it would devastate my child if she lost both parents, and that is a real possibility. So people need to be looking at the effects that it can have on their family as a whole, and people got to stop being selfish and start protecting themselves and their families. Alright, that's it for today.